up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl JD here, back with another video, and today we're going to be diving into 90 Day Fiancé UK. This is season 3. This is the very first season of their UK spin-off that I've ever watched, and I think I just recently would have posted my 90 Day Fiancé Love in Paradise. That would have been the finale. If you guys are interested, I'll link it in the corner here. But today we're going to be talking about their UK leg of 90 Day Fiancé, and I do have to do some things after this that requires me to put on a little bit of makeup. So that's what I'm going to be doing today in this video while I talk to you guys about this show and the couples in it, because I do feel like they're low-key struggle love. I'm just going to be honest. It's giving struggle. I already put on some moisturizer. I use my Good Molecules. I think it was their hyaluronic acid moisturizer, the one that comes in their like dry skin bundle. As per usual, I'm just going to be going from couple to couple. I'm just going to be giving my thoughts on what's been going on. Let's start with Tony and Nui. So Tony is 45 and Nui is 41. Nui is from Thailand, so I haven't really seen them on the screen that much yet, but what I have seen is quite a lot. While Nui is in Thailand, before she eventually comes over to the UK to visit Tony's family and friends and whatnot, Tony has actually been sending Nui money every month. And you know, that could always be thrown back in your face, especially by the person's family when you get over there to visit them. As soon as they find that out, they'll automatically be like, oh, she's using you for your money. Nui actually has 2 kids from a previous marriage, and it looks as though Tony's sister, after he kind of told her that he was considering moving to Thailand, you know, he gave his sister all of this information that she was married before, but she's now divorced. She has 2 kids. She's just like, okay, you didn't even tell me anything. And I find that kind of suspicious and odd that you would be in a relationship with someone and you wouldn't tell, like, it seems as though, anyway, that his sister is the only like family member, at least that we've seen so far, that he really wants their feedback and actually wants their support when it comes to his relationship. Like, obviously you don't have to give too much information, but at least tell them like, hey, I'm seeing someone, you know what I mean? But it does seem as though at least his friends kind of know about her a little bit, not too much information, but at least they know that she exists. So back in Thailand, Nui is actually living with her mother, with her kids, and she finally comes over to the UK, and Tony is just like, listen, because I have to travel a lot for work, I got us an Airbnb, you know, so just letting you know. But Nui kind of takes that as like, oh, you're trying to hide something. And I'm like, I guess you could kind of see it that way, you know? So Tony tries to cook for Nui. He ends up cooking some bangers and mash. That doesn't really go too well because she's just like, yeah, this is a little strange. She did not like that experience and he did not take that too well. At the end, she was like, you know, just leave the cooking to me. I would have probably still been like, you know, thank you for trying, but leave the cooking to me. But she was just like, yeah, just leave the cooking to me, you know? So I think he just took offense to that. In his little interview, he was just like, she came in with the wrong attitude and I feel like she wasn't really open-minded and that was wrong or something like that. I was like, so you can't give opinions about the food that you put into your mouth now? I mean, maybe your cooking just wasn't that good, buddy. Because he doesn't strike me as the type that cooks often. Tony also reveals that he wants kids in the future with Nui. And Nui just looks at him like, that's not in the cards for me. Like, my 2 kids are enough. And I'm just like, oh boy, I don't know how this is going to work out. I can understand where she's coming from. Obviously, if you don't want any more kids, you don't want any more kids. But at the same time, I feel like that should have been probably one of the first things they spoke about. Or maybe he knows and thought he could change her mind, because I've seen some men come onto this show and think they could just be like, well, maybe in the future you might change your mind, and you know, like, no, like that's not. If she says she didn't want no more kids, like, it's probably not happening and you shouldn't push her on that, you know what I mean? She meets his sister and this woman rips into Nui, okay? Like, with the questions and everything, like, she goes deep and it gets awkward real fast because she starts talking about, you know, what if you go back to your ex and, you know, like all these other things. And I'm just like, geez, woman. It was like the first meeting. After that, she did offer to cook his sister some Thai food. Immediately the sister was like, I don't like spicy food. I'm like, like, woman, just come in with an open mind. She ate the food. She said she liked it, but it looked like she was still a little squirmish. I think low-key she was trying to be like, I don't really like it, but I'm gonna eat it because I want to be nice. So everything seemed to be going all right. It's just too many red flags already. And I already started seeing a lot of the future clips that they show of like the other episodes to come. It doesn't look so great for them. So we'll see how that goes, you know? Let's move on to Ali and Sam. So I believe Ali is 23 and Sam is 28. So Sam met Ali while she was on vacation in Turkey with her family and they really hit it off. But now they have a long distance relationship. It seems as though Sam really has issues, like major issues. Okay, I can't even express how serious I am about the major part. Major issues with jealousy when it comes to Ali's job. She does not like what he does. I think he, you know, just entertains guests at a hotel, make sure they have a good time. I think he kind of works on tips, kind of similar to another person we're going to talk about in another couple shortly. But I do get the vibe that Sam is a little bossy, and I kind of view Ali as being a little bit more free-spirited. And then when it comes to Sam, like, she loves to complain. Oh my god. We see that even more when she goes over to Turkey to visit him. Oh, it's so annoying. From the food to the apartment he stayed in, just everything. Before she ended up leaving the UK to visit Ali, I guess her friend kind of put it in her head like, listen, you're gonna have to ask the important questions. You know, which I don't blame her. Okay, I would be that friend as well. But the friend was basically, you know, like, I was with a Turkish man before and I could tell you, you know, they might be using you. If she wants to put her trust in that person as the friend, you're just gonna have to be like, okay, I'll support you, but I'll keep an eye on them. You know what I mean? Sam kind of goes over with that intention of asking Ali, like, okay, are you with me because you want to be with me or because of what I could offer you, which is a life in the UK? And she does ask him that straight out, and he's just like, both. I don't blame him for that answer because, I mean, if you have an opportunity for a better life in the UK versus Turkey, obviously you're probably gonna be like, yeah, I want to be with you, but I want to be able to have a better life financially speaking, amongst other things. Now, what was funny to me is that after all of this woman says to Ali, you're gonna have to start working almost as soon as you can. You're gonna have to work to pay me back immediately. That's gonna be your first like fee. I think she said $5,000 for the visa for him to come over. I was like, I have never heard somebody say like, that's the first time I've heard someone actually say that out loud. I think they would think it, but I've never heard someone say that out loud, like, you're gonna have to pay me back for this visa. Like, that was a bit much for me, but we're gonna move on. Tahir and Nicole, they're both 25, and this honestly looks like another Nicole and Mahmoud situation. Now, what I find also ironic is that her name is also Nicole. Like, if that don't scream this is a sign that this is not going to work, I really don't know what is. Also, Ali is from Egypt. Mahmoud was also from Egypt. Yeah, there's a lot of connections. Clearly, he's very traditional when it comes to his beliefs, and they are sounding pretty different from Sam's. Even though she keeps telling herself that there's a give and take in their relationship and that she's just kind of compromising, I feel like after a while, it gets a little concerning how much you're actually compromising, and he, you know, is not really backing down with anything. So her friends are clearly very concerned about this whole situation because they don't want her to lose herself in their marriage. I totally get that. I kind of feel the same way. I feel like there's a lot of red flags. She's just like, oh, well, you know, this is what he wants, so I'll do it. I'm like, but is that what you want to do? So what I find crazy though is that they're technically already married so that he could just like come over to the UK. But I do think it was a little rushed in terms of the marriage thing because it seems as though they're still trying to get to know each other, which makes sense considering they didn't have to deal with each other in person for a good while. Just so many things that they kind of just skipped over. When it comes to Tahir, he just seems a little nervous when it comes to going over there. I just feel like they should have taken a little bit more time to really digest each other's cultures so that they could know for sure, like, okay, this could work. And he also wants her to dress a certain way, which definitely screams, again, Mahmoud. They kind of have an argument about her becoming Muslim at dinner, as if her beliefs just don't matter. Again, screams Moody. Okay, I call him Moody. Okay, if you guys don't know, I call Mahmoud Moody. I just feel like he has a very strong belief system, but you could tell that she's still like, I don't know. And I just find it interesting that he just assumes outright, like, you're obviously gonna join the Islamic faith. Like, please stop playing with me. You know what I mean? Like, that's the vibe that I get. I understand her concerns because she's just like, I barely know anything about the religion. And why would you join something that you don't know much about or understand? That's the predicament that they're in. Let's move on to Jamie and Kathleen. So Jamie's 33, Kathleen is 36. They're honestly another awkward looking couple. I believe she's from the Philippines originally, but she currently lives in Cyprus. And Jamie is basically a mama's boy, and he sees no issues with it. And Kathleen looks like she's on the verge of being done with the whole thing, to be honest, because it seems as though his mother doesn't really care for her. And, you know, she tries to make that known by doing certain things. Okay, so Jamie's now trying to win back the trust of Kathleen because while they were on a break, so he says, okay, but it doesn't sound that way from Kathleen. But while they were on a so-called break in their relationship, he decided to start dating Kathleen's friend. And I'm still trying to figure out which friend this is, you know, like what? Basically, she didn't see that as a break, and because it wasn't a break, it was considered cheating. So yeah, so he goes to visit her, but he's kind of the least romantic person ever, if I'm going to be real. And Kathleen is quick to kind of tell him that, but you can see that he's really trying, but it just doesn't come across as natural to him. It seems as though he is continuing to fight an uphill battle with the gaining of the trust back. So we'll see how that ends up, you know, playing out. Johan and Charlotte. I don't even know where to begin, but this is one extremely delusional one right here. So I'm just gonna say no offense right now, but it's the truth, okay? So I just want to start off by saying this entire time watching them interact with each other, I just want to shake Charlotte and be like, girl, you wasting your time. And clearly you're being used. There is a 10 year plus age gap between the two of them. And his name honestly sounds strangely similar to Johan, if y'all remember Johan and Danielle from 90 Day Fiancé the other way. I have questions because they're both from the Dominican Republic. So Danielle also, much like in Danielle's case with Johan, had met Johan at the hotel that he worked at while she was on vacation in the DR. And he was basically doing his job as the hotel entertainer, much like Ali and also Johan. So he's entertaining a bunch of women, which is what he still does for a living. And you could basically see him flirting with these women. That's pretty much what it is. And he's flirting for these tips from these foreign women. And who knows what else he's doing for these old ladies. Let's be real. So she does obviously feel very insecure when it comes to that. But she goes back to the DR to visit, and we find out that she's been constantly sending this boy money for both him and his family, and then also recently to fix up the roof on their house. She is pretty much the supplementary income. Now they're also planning a wedding, and she only has 2 guests, and not everyone could afford that, you know, major price when it comes to that ticket from the UK to the DR. So only her mom and her sister are going to be coming versus Johan, who wants to bring his entire family and friends. Very interesting that he could make that demand when, you know, he ain't the one paying for anything. It's very interesting that she's not saying anything in this moment. So they plan to get married in the next few months after Charlotte saves enough money. And before she leaves to go back home, she kind of hands him over this card that still had a little bit of money on it. And I'm like, girl, you are clearly a sugar mama. I'm sorry to tell you. And I think more than likely she heard it from her friends and family already, but I'm gonna tell you again, you are a sugar mama. Shortly after this, someone in Charlotte's family passes away, and she wants to kind of push the wedding up because, in her words, life is too short. So now she just wants to have something really small and intimate, but something seems to happen in the future and things don't really go according to plan. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on them. Let's move over to John and Sprite. So John is 29 and Sprite is 26. I honestly doubt that this is really a relationship. if I'm going to be real. I honestly doubt it. It's mainly because of how disinterested Sprite always looks when he sees John. John would call Sprite on the phone, FaceTime, and it just seems like he doesn't want to be there. Sprite would rather be anywhere else but on the phone with this man. Apparently they met on a dating app. Originally it was because Sprite wanted to learn English, I think. He lives in Thailand. He's from Thailand originally. And I'm trying to figure out with Sprite, like, what's going on, because it seems like he really is just using John. So Sprite says that he wasn't initially attracted to John at all at the beginning, but he decided to just be friends with him to, like I said, learn English or get better at speaking it. But then they eventually started dating and now they're officially together. So when Sprite gets to the UK, however, he's already in a bad mood because they lost his luggage and it didn't land with him. So he tried wearing John's clothes and he kept talking about how big and overweight John was, which seems to be a constant theme and something that John definitely is not a fan of, even as a joke, but Sprite doesn't really seem to care. I'm just gonna spritz real quick. So when they get to John's place, John had actually taken some time to decorate his bedroom with pictures of them throughout their dating, I guess, and whatnot. Instead of seeing it as something romantic and cute, Sprite pretty much just took it as, oh, I have a stalker. Like, I'm scared right now. Like, he took it in such a strange direction, which is another red flag for me, because it's like, who would see that as strange and that the person's trying to be a stalker when they're supposed to be your significant other? Like, wouldn't you be like, oh, that's cute? Like, that would be my reaction. So John tried to take him on a staycation, but they stayed in a hotel because of the cost. And Sprite hated every minute of it because he does give me very bougie vibes. It just seemed like everything John did, Sprite didn't like, which he was just another complainer. He reminds me of Sam, like just complaining about everything, at least in the first half of his trip to the UK. Eventually, John takes Sprite surfing and he does end up enjoying that finally. Then he found out that John was trying to apply for a job at a Michelin star restaurant. John also doesn't get the job because he really just wasn't cut out for it, to be honest. Sprite was actually understanding and encouraging when he found out, which was weird considering how tough he's been on John this entire time. And also, I kind of questioned Sprite's own cooking skills because when John came back home and he was a little sad about not getting the job, Sprite offered to cook. He didn't rinse off the spinach, so it tasted kind of strange. He decides after they're already eating the food to take the food back and rinse off the meal. So that was interesting. There was a photo shoot that Sprite was called to do while he was in the UK, and I forgot to mention that Sprite is actually a photographer. He did the shoot, but he came back home pretty late, so John and him ended up getting into a fight about that because John feels like he should have all of Sprite's time while Sprite is in the UK, which I understand, but at the same time, that's such a big opportunity for him. So it's just a couple of hours, like one day at the most, just chill, you know? But what I find also kind of weird is that he didn't even bother asking Sprite how the shoot went. Nothing. Like, he just did not care, and I think that's also a red flag on John's end for once. So I thought that was a little selfish, but John takes Sprite to Chinatown for his last day before he goes back to Thailand, and Sprite is now feeling a little pressured by John to get married, and he starts crying, and John is trying to reassure him that he doesn't have to make the decision now, but I think there might be something else going on when it comes to that, because that just seems kind of like a strange reaction. If anything, just be like, don't pressure me, like, you know, like, calm down. Unless John constantly talks about it. Now he just kind of breaks down finally. But it was just like, it's really not that deep. You know, why would you start crying? So it was a little strange. Let's move on to our last couple. We have Jose and Louis, I think is how we say her name. So Jose is 29 and Louis is 40. I don't know much about them yet at all, really. But within a year, they managed to meet each other while Louis was in Colombia. And then he decides to come over to the UK to visit her. And she gets pregnant. He goes back to Colombia, and now they're trying to get him a visa to come back because obviously they're having a child together now. And he gets his visa to stay over there, and you know, now they have their son as well. So they're this little family. And also, Jose likes to refer to everyone as my chicken. Don't ask me why, he just does. He's also almost the same age as Louis' older son, and he is trying to also be a rapper. He's trying to pursue that as a full-time career, and I honestly think Jose's rapping abilities are trash, if I'm going to be real with you on that one. I think someone should definitely sit him down and be honest with him that the career is not going anywhere. It's probably never going to go anywhere.
Fill me with love and happy night. That was your priority a long time.
He does decide to get another job at a little food spot so he could be making some type of income. And he keeps saying that it's only until his music career takes off. But I'm like, sir, I think someone needs to have an honest conversation with you, because Louis is definitely not the one to say anything. She's just like, oh, well, you know, he might be able to eventually have one song kick off and he can support the family and all that good stuff. And I'm like, Louis, you know this man is trash. He makes trash music. And also her older son thinks so as well. So I'm like, let's be real here. But that's gonna be it for 90 Day Fiancé UK. I'm gonna probably come back shortly because I have so many other episodes that I've watched in between writing these notes for this video that I need to catch up on. So we're gonna talk about that in my next video. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Definitely let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.